Jujutsu Kaisen, Purple, the audiobook. Written by Wisteria Shadow. Inspired by Gege Akutami's manga. Chapter 1. Neglect. The streets of Kichijoji, Tokyo, were quieter than usual, likely due to the gloomy weather consisting of clouds plaguing the sky. It was a late Thursday afternoon. Yukari stood inside a foreign clothing store, counting the value possessed by the handful of coins in his right hand. The teenager's hair was purple and long enough to fall past his black eyebrows, almost reaching his eyelashes, which were black as well. His eyes were a light gray color, contrasting with the black hoodie and dark blue jeans he wore. Moreover, Yukari had a pale complexion and no facial hair. He was 160 centimeters tall and weighed approximately 49 kilograms, making him fairly slim.
4,500, 4,600, 4,700.
The boy frowned. His gaze shifted from the coins to the cashier, who had been waiting patiently for the last minute.
I'm missing 100 yen,
stated the 15-year-old, a slight hint of sadness to his tone. A woolen, purple scarf sat on the counter, with a small 14,800 yen price tag attached to it.
Sorry, please come back when you have enough money,
replied the woman before calling forward the next customer. Yukari sighed.
I thought I had enough already. A coin probably fell out of my pocket on the way here. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
The teenager was about to leave when he noticed a tip jar on the counter. It looked decently full. Yukari froze. He glanced at the cashier. She seemed busy helping a different customer. The boy thought for a second, but ultimately decided against it.
I'm not that kind of person.
Yukari left the store, feeling dejected. It took around 10 minutes for the teenager to get home, and at that point, he would unlock the door to an apartment using his own keys. As expected, no one was home. It was getting dark outside. The boy removed his shoes and flipped a nearby light switch, illuminating the kitchen. Unfortunately, the table did not have any change on it as Yukari had hoped.
She forgot to leave me money for dinner. Again.
The teenager's father often worked until late, and his mother, like always, had gone out for dinner with her friends, leaving the boy to care for himself. Yukari checked the fridge. Empty. He was starving. For the last couple of weeks, the teenager had been saving some of the money left by his parents for food to eventually have enough to buy the scarf he had really been wanting for a while. However, that meant the boy did not have much money remaining, so he had been eating sparingly. His parents forgetting to leave him cash was not an uncommon occurrence, and as such, Yukari occasionally had to rely on the money he had saved up if he wanted to eat. Even so, at times the teenager decided not to eat at all to avoid spending anything. His selection of clothing was pretty limited, so a brand new scarf would have been nice, and although the boy had told his parents, they simply did not care. They rarely did. Yukari entered his barren room. A bed, a desk, and an old wardrobe were the only pieces of furniture present. The white walls and wooden floor gave the impression of simplicity, yet also served to create a desolate atmosphere. Without bothering to turn on the otherwise dim lights, the teenager mindlessly emptied all the money from his pocket and placed it on the desk, except for 3 100 yen coins. He left the uninviting room and made his way to the front door. Once there, the boy put on the only pair of shoes he had, purple sneakers. Yukari then reintroduced darkness into the kitchen by flipping the familiar light switch and exited the apartment. A bolt of lightning flashed in the distance, followed by a tempestuous roar of thunder. Streetlights shone softly, dispelling the darkness in the district. The teenager tightened his grip on the cheap packaged sandwich clutched in his left hand and quickened his pace.
Great. I should have brought an umbrella.
He felt multiple water droplets hitting his face, and not wanting to get wet, decided to wait in a roofed alleyway until the rain subsided. The loud, vicious downpour dampened the chatter that could be heard from restaurants further down the road as a thin, watery film paved the ground. Yukari shivered. He crossed his arms and sighed heavily, realizing it may take some time for it to stop raining.
It's so cold.
A wave of misery washed over him, intensifying the hollow loneliness he had grown accustomed to over the years. The boy sat down against a wall and hugged his knees. He stared at the floor, isolated.
I don't get it. Isn't life It's supposed to be enjoyable. No one has ever cared about me. Not even my parents. Is it my fault? Or am I just unlucky? I guess it doesn't matter either way. It's all pointless, isn't it? To be honest. Why was I even born at all? What's that noise?
Yukari's trance was shattered by a grotesque sound, one akin to that of flesh being torn apart. He looked up. A strange, dark blue glow of energy had appeared before him. It was opaque and constantly changing shape. The teenager's eyes widened in shock. An appendage resembling a human hand extended from the apparition, aggressively grabbing the boy's right ankle. Yukari dropped the sandwich, paralyzed. The metaphysical flesh split open, revealing numerous key-like teeth sprouting from within it. Several soulless eyes with swampy green irises germinated above the monstrous maw, every single one fixed on the teenager. Another hand became visible, and so did 4 pairs of arachnoid legs located near the bottom of the creature. As it formed, the beast let out a distorted wail of sorrow. A curse had manifested. The boy remained motionless, unable to react. He dissociated, helplessly watching as the monster inched closer, its dilapidated fangs nearing his face. An icy breath struck Yukari's skin, snapping him back to reality. The teenager slammed his eyes shut.
No, I don't want to die!
A splatter of blood stained the wall. The creature's mouth trembled erratically, a purple, blood-like substance slowly spilling onto the floor. The boy opened his eyes. He was met by a long, slender arm made of shadow on either side of him, both of which had pierced through the cursed spirit like spears. Their sharp, clawed hands were slightly larger than a person's head, and their coloration was pitch black. Stuck to the wall were 2 dark puddles roughly half a meter in diameter each. They retained the same color as the shadowy limbs, acting as portals for them. The monster's body swiftly disintegrated into ash and disappeared, leaving nothing behind. At the same time, the splatters of purple blood evaporated entirely. The phantom arms vanished into thin air immediately after, as did the dark puddles. Yukari blinked, sitting completely still.
What the hell was that?
Spectre, neglect, I seek indifference, the rain, the cold, my mental state is left a fester. Shadows with eyes and body and fake smiles and lies reflect us all, a self-created mirror. We moved our fates, the reactions to be, but if that's not true, why was I even born at all? The innate talent of a stone upon me, a guiding light to my worthless life. It's helped me find some kind of purpose. I'll carve out my adventure. Can we end that darkness? Can we cleanse the darkness? The threats of humanity's hostility and entwined. Day-to-day struggle, it's meaning vague. Feels like I've been led astray, an introspective decay. Make use of your sadness, make use of your sadness. I long for the moment I smile sincerely along with the people helping me when I couldn't. But if I'm on this path for myself, does that make me a narcissist? An exorcism of the past, relishing catharsis at last. Despite my suffering, I'll still be happy.
Chapter 2: Cursed Technique. The dark, chilly evening crowds populated the city, seemingly oblivious to the hideous creature slithering across the pavement. Its blood-red body was freakishly long, comparable to that of a snake. A multitude of murderous mouths covered the monster's flesh, their teeth as black as charcoal. It lacked eyes, but 4 twitching ears could be seen where its face was supposed to be. The apparition phased through every footstep unknowingly landing upon it, leaving it undisturbed. Yukari waited by a traffic light, blankly staring at the creature lurking on the other side of the road. He needed an explanation. It was all the teenager could think about. There had been no trace of the shadow arms that had saved his life 2 days prior, although Yukari theorized that the paranormal occurrence may be related to emotions somehow. The internet proved futile in his search for answers, and the ancient books belonging to the local library did not seem to help either. Despite this, the boy's luck would soon change. The forceful stomp of a black boot snapped the monster in half. Its body withered away instantaneously. Yukari blinked. His vision shifted from the boot to the long black hair of a mysterious young man who continued walking as if nothing had happened. The teenager stepped forward while scanning the traffic light beside him. To his dismay, it displayed the color red. Adrenaline filled the boy's veins as he desperately tried to keep sight of the man. The light turned green. Yukari sprinted in the stranger's direction, watching as it disappeared behind a corner. Determined, the teenager kept running. He saw the man up ahead and stopped to catch his breath. The boy figured it would be better to wait until fewer people were around before asking any questions. Now walking, Yukari followed the stranger. A few minutes passed, and once on an empty street, the man paused and took out a phone from his pocket, subsequently dialing an unknown number.
The curse user was present in the area. Yes. I managed to trace his residuals, but failed to locate him. I'll inform the others soon. Please come pick me up. I've sent you the address already. Thank you.
The stranger's voice was rather deep, yet retained a calm and elegant tone. He ended the phone call and turned his head, noticing the teenager. Yukari made eye contact while remaining expressionless.
You can see those monsters too, can't you?
The man nodded.
Yes. I presume you are referring to curses.
Curses?
Replied the teenager, confused.
That's right. My name is Shinji Miyogusa, and I'm a Jujutsu sorcerer.
Shinji looked about 18 years old. He had black, shoulder-length hair and murky green eyes. Furthermore, the man wore a long-sleeved, collared black shirt, along with a brown leather apron reaching down to his waist. Shinji's trousers were gray, lacking vibrancy. He also bore heavy black boots, which contributed to his tall stature. Fastened to the sorcerer's left hip was an eerie plague doctor mask made of wood, matching the color of his hair.
I'm Yukari Tsumeyami. I don't get it. What are you talking about?
An ominous breeze swept past the teenager. Wordlessly, he waited for an answer.
Every day, the negative emotions that leak out of humans gather together like sediment, forming malevolent entities called curses.
Shinji's speech ceased momentarily.
Formerly referred to as cursed spirits, these monsters often attack humans, devouring them in order to become stronger. Others have a more subtle approach, cursing unsuspecting victims to death and gaining power during the process. It is considered lucky for a person to die a normal death after encountering a curse.
The boy stared at the man lifelessly, letting his words sink in.
Nonetheless, individuals known as Jujutsu sorcerers utilize the negative curse energy inside their own bodies to exorcise these creatures. The only way to defeat a curse is with another curse, as they are immune to physical attacks and standard weaponry.
The monster that attacked me was a cursed spirit?
Yukari's eyes widened.
2 days ago, I was almost killed by a curse. It was about to eat me when a pair of giant arms came out of nowhere and saved my life.
The teenager stepped towards the sorcerer. They were now a little more than a meter apart.
I want to know what those arms were, and why I'm still alive today.
Shinji thought for several seconds.
It is possible that someone witnessed the event and saved you. However, I personally believe that those arms are a manifestation of your cursed energy. Most sorcerers are born with innate talent, allowing them to use cursed techniques. Unique skills and abilities fueled entirely by cursed energy. For example,
the man retrieved a small handful of rosemary from one of the zippable pockets stitched onto his apron and held it in front of himself. He then clicked the fingers on his left hand. The rosemary vanished in the blink of an eye. 5 large needles of dark green light materialized around the sorcerer, floating in place. Moments later, they dissipated into nothingness.
My cursed technique is called Apothecary. It works by using herbs and spices to manipulate cursed energy in various ways, making it extremely versatile.
The boy nodded, somewhat astonished.
Hold on. I don't understand why I've never been able to see curses until after I was attacked by one. It doesn't make any sense.
Regular humans are generally unable to see or perceive cursed spirits, as they do not have enough curse energy to do so. It is due to this reason that the existence of curses has been kept secret from non-sorcerers for a very long time.
Shinji's tone grew more serious.
However, when a person is at risk of being killed by a cursed spirit, they usually gain the ability to see it in that life or death scenario. The danger of dying increases the victim's cursed energy temporarily, making curses appear visible to them.
Yukari narrowed his eyes.
But why can I still see curses today?
Since it is created from negative emotions, simply knowing about the existence of cursed spirits can heighten a person's natural levels of cursed energy. Therefore, they retain the ability to see curses.
Explained the man.
If you truly do possess a curse technique, it is logical to assume that your near-death experience caused your ability to inadvertently activate, exercising the curse and saving your life.
The sorcerer crossed his arms and sighed.
At least, that's my theory.
The teenager stared at his palms.
I have a curse technique?
He shifted his gaze back to Shinji, unsure of what to say.
I have an idea,
Announced the man.
Try activating your technique. Focus on how you felt when you were attacked by that curse, and visualize your cursed energy manifesting in the form of those arms.
The boy nodded and closed his eyes. Taking a deep breath, he attempted to concentrate on the emotions he felt during his encounter with the cursed spirit. 15 seconds passed. Yukari reopened his eyes and frowned.
It didn't work.
He stated coldly. The sorcerer took a moment to think.
Perhaps you need an anchor,
He suggested.
Many sorcerers connect their techniques to specific gestures, such as hand movements, to channel their cursed energy more effectively.
Shinji pressed his palms together.
While not always necessary, anchors are a fundamental part of utilizing Jujutsu. They can be customized based on personal preference, but must be practical for use in combat situations.
The teenager inspected his hands, eventually choosing to clasp them together with the fingers interlaced.
That should work,
Stated the man.
Now focus on activating your curse technique.
Once again, the boy closed his eyes and slowed his breathing rate. He remembered the event, the shock, the fear, the hopelessness. Yukari imagined his curse energy gradually accumulating to create two phantom arms composed of shadows. A thin, tar-like substance began to engulf the teenager's hands. The sorcerer's eyes widened.
His cursed energy!
On the floor beside the boy appeared a dark puddle. Its outline had an irregular flux. A slender arm of black coloration erupted from the darkness, standing 2 meters tall. Residing upon it was a clawed hand, slightly larger than a human head, clearly capable of lacerating flesh with ease. Yukari glanced at the apparition in awe. Before he could blink, the phantom arm and dark puddle spontaneously faded out of existence.
Whoa.
The teenager examined his hands, yet no sight of sorcery remained. A slight smile spread across his lips.
That's pretty cool.
Shinji furrowed his eyebrows.
Is something wrong?
Asked the boy, his brief joy immediately extinguished. The man blinked before shaking his head.
Don't worry, I was just surprised. It is very rare for a person to be born with a curse technique, and those who are typically inherit it as a result of their lineage. Although, I can't say I've ever seen this ability previously.
Car headlights lit up the background, seizing the sorcerer's attention. The vehicle decelerated as it approached him, coming to a complete stop once nearby. Shinji waved at the car, signaling the driver to wait.
There is a school known as Jujutsu Kaisen, where young sorcerers learn to fight curses and cultivate their own power.
The man opened the car door and retrieved a small piece of paper as well as a pen. He scribbled a phone number and handed it to Yukari.
We're constantly seeking out talented candidates. It's a dangerous job, but do consider joining.
The sorcerer entered the vehicle and bid the teenager farewell before slamming the door shut. The car sped away without wasting any time, abandoning the boy. Yukari went home with a renewed sense of hope that night. The morning after, he stuffed whatever belongings he had into a plastic convenience store bag and left his apartment. A handwritten note remained on the kitchen table.
I found a place where I belong. Don't bother searching for me.
Signed, Yukari Tsumeyami.